Hello, everyone, and welcome to Understanding the Self. And for today, we are going to talk about the anthropological conceptualization of self. But first, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Lynette de la Cruz Baybay, together with my group members, Joan Baez and Joan Ante. So now, we're going to unpack how to understand the culture and self as a complementary concepts, and why is the self is considered as an anthropological self. So, to begin with our discussion, here are the learning objectives of our topic.
Recognize what the field of anthropology can contribute to understanding of the self. Second, understand how culture and self are complementary concepts. Third, discuss the cultural construction of the self and social identity. Fourth, explain the concept of identity struggle and develop insight on how to achieve a sense of self situated in multicultural and dynamic situation. Anthropology, considered as one of the most complex areas of discipline, has explored various meanings of culture, self, and identity in the desire to come up with a better understanding of the self. It is concerned with how cultural and biological processes interact to shape human experience. Different phases of culture can be an attitude, the beliefs, the language, the custom, rituals, the behavior, faith or religion, the food, art, drama, or music. There are anthropologies that highlight what culture to evolve to the human being. One of them is James L. Peacock. According to him, anthropology encroaches on the territory of the science as well as the humanities and transcend the conventional boundaries of both while addressing the question from the distance, past and the present perhaps implication for the future. Employing an anthropological perspective that is perceiving holistically what could be the answer to the question, who am I? Anthropology considers human experience as an interplay of nature, referring to genetic inheritance, which set the individual potential, and nurture, referring to the socio-cultural environment. The most important contribution of anthropology is providing insight into the nature of self based on continuous understanding of the basic elements of the culture. The cultural construction of the self and identity. The British anthropologist Edward Taylor defined culture as the complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, art, morals, custom, law, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. In the other anthropology, Martin Zuckerfeld, a German, believed that the concept of self is necessary supplement to the concept of culture in anthropology and should be regarded as a human universal. Culture and self thus become complementary concepts that have to be understood in relation to one another.
Okay, so there are two sides of identity found in every person in every culture. So that's the egocentric self and the sociocentric self. Okay, so let us start with egocentric view. In this particular view, the self is viewed as an autonomous and distinct individual. So kapag sinabi nating egocentric, ito yung mga self-centered na tao or yung may lack of self-esteem. So they think only on themselves and their own wants. So good example here was the Americans because they were very egocentric. So they believe that they should be assertive and independent. Centric view, ito yung mga socially oriented na tao. So they focus on one's own social group. Malaki emphasis ng mga sociocentric culture sa social setting na meron sila. So for example, here is the Chinese. So the Chinese prioritize kin ties and cooperations, and they put importance to compliance and subordination of one's will to the authority figures in the family. And for the anthropologist Christy Kiefer, she said that the Japanese possess a sociocentric view of the self in which the membership of a person in a particular social group defines the boundaries of the self. So, the interdependence between the person and the group is more valued than independence. So, as in the Philippines, Filipinos are known to be collective because of our concept of pakikisama. Whereas the Chinese American anthropologist Francis Shu, he says that the attributes of sociocentric view of the self to the Chinese. He explains that the Chinese prioritize skin ties and cooperation. In contrast, the Japanese and Chinese and then the Americans are egocentric. So in order for us to be able to assess our identity, we must look to our identity toolbox. It shows that we have all the capability to choose different experiences in molding our social self. So, yung identity natin as a person, dinedetermine natin yan using our similarities and differences. Kadalasan, sa mga sociocentric na tao, pinaprioritize nila yung similarities nila, and sa mga egocentric naman, pinaprioritize nila yung differences nila. Personal naming. It is a universal practice with numerous cross-cultural variations, establishes a child's birthright and social identity. Personal names in all societies are intimate markers of a person which differentiates him or her from others. So, yung mga pangalan natin, isa siya sa primary individual trait natin as a person. So, very important part siya as a part of our identity. So, for example, the Aymara Indians. So, Aymara Indians do not consider an infant as a true human being until a name is given to him or her. So, dito sa kanila, kapag yung bata is around 2 years old and ready to speak Aymara language, meron silang special ritual na pina-perform bago pangalanan yung bata. So, parang may sisilbing marka yung identity ng bata that makes him fully accepted into Aymara community. Next is the Minangkabao culture. Okay, so here the children inherit their mother's family name. So another unique name is practiced in Arctic Canada, kung saan yung mga bata are named after their deceased relative. Kasi dito, naniniwala sila na magiging helpful yun for their character formation. And lastly, here in the Philippines, It is a common practice of Catholic parents to name their children after saints. Kasi naniniwala sila na kapag pinangalanan nila yung mga anak nila ng sacred name, mabibless and mapoprotektahan sila throughout their life. So dito, for example, si Saint Lorenzo Ruiz, si Blessed Jose Maria de Manila, si Padre Calungsod, Bishop Alfredo Villar, Father Teofilo Camomot, and Father Alfredo Versosa.
So we proceed to Arnold van Gannep, who is a French ethnographer and a folklorist. Arnold van Gannep believes that changing in one's status and identity are marked by a three-phase rite of passages. These are the separation, liminality, and incorporation. The first one is the separation phase. It means that people detach from their former identity to another. So makikita niyo sa picture, may girl and boy. Siguro they are the couples po. Then breakups nag-happen sa couples. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng separation phase. Example 'yon. And then this one is yung baby building blocks and the woman waving hands. Maybe it's the past of the baby is the past of the person who is waving back. And then the last part is that the highlighted guy is he is being with some other people na hindi naman siya yun. So basically, parang yung separation phase is about ng hinahanap mo kung sino ba talaga, kung nasan ka ba talaga sa natungo mong experience last time. Yung katulad na lang this example is yung kapag pumunta ka sa isang yung pintuan lalabas ka sa iba. So kailangan mo maghanap ng support system, kailangan mong harapin yung mga uncertainty kapag ka. Focus on the present moments, kailangan kung nasan ka ngayon, dun ka lang mag-isip. So, and practice self-care, alam naman natin yan na kailangan natin yan sa sarili natin. And the second one is the liminality phase. So liminality phase means a person transitions from one identity to another. So this one is an example of liminality phase. Meron na rin dyan yung, during the graduation ceremony, yung syempre lahat tayo na pagdadaanan natin yan, students are in transitional state. Nagta-transition siya na hindi na siya longer student na. So magkukumit na siya as a graduated person, and kailangan niya na mag-embrace sa patungong next journey, which is getting a job. As you can see, this picture, nag-aano na siya, pumupunta na siya sa kanyang future. Kailangan niya nang pumunta sa kanyang future and kailangan niya pa mag-step forward. And the next one is the incorporation phase. The change in one's status is officially incorporated. So the example of this naman is yung syempre graduated. Sa graduation ceremony pa rin tayo after receiving their diplomas, move in incorporation phase. They are now officially recognized as alumni or graduates welcome into the next stage of their lives. This might involve tossing their caps in celebration, symbolizing the incorporation of their identity. So the next one is the identity struggles. So the identity struggles, syempre dito na, it means na interaction in which there is a discrepancy between identity a person claims to possess and the identity attributed to that person by others. Dito na siya tumitingin kung sino ba talaga siya, hinahanap niya yung sarili niya, tinatanong niya na dati hindi naman ako ganito, pero this time naman, ba't nagagawa ko yung mga ganyan? So, ayun. Next one is Golbovic. Suggests that in order to attain self-identification, individuals have to overcome many obstacles such as traditionally established habits and externally imposed self-images. Catching Ewing's illusion of wholeness exhibits how individual selves throughout the world continuously reconstitute themselves into new selves in response to internal and external stimuli. So this picture, yun yung nag-represent kay Golubovic na in attain to self-identification para makilala natin sarili natin, kailangan natin may experience tayo, makipag-socialize, gumawa ng mga traditionally or occasionally. And then the next slide is, ito yung illusion of wholeness na kailangan natin na maging yung ano natin, yung positive ideas, and then kahit na alam natin flawless yung ating buhay, eh, kailangan pa rin natin maging positive. The self-embedded in culture. So we will talk about the self-embedded culture. It means a connection between individuals' identity or sense of self and the surrounding cultural context. It could imply that personal identity is shaped and influenced by the cultural environment in which an individual exists, reflecting the reciprocal relationship between self and the culture. This interplay may involve shared values, beliefs, and societal norms impacting how individuals perceive themselves and their roles within a larger cultural framework. So, Clifford Geertz is one nag-share about, nag-share siya ng theory niya about self-embedded culture. Clifford Geertz is an American anthropologist, offer a reformulation of the concept of culture which favors a symbolic interpretative model of culture. He agrees with Max Weber that man is an animal suspended in webs of significance he himself has spun, in which those webs are perceived to be symbolic of culture. So this is an example of man is an animal suspended in webs of significance he himself has spun. So man is creating animals na kailangan natin na in the next level, eh yun rin naman yung magiging standard natin. So meron rin sinasuggest si Geertz na two important ideas. First one is culture should not perceive only as complexes of concrete behavior patterns, customs, as has by and large been the case up to now, but as a set of control mechanisms, plans, recipes, rules, instructions for the governing behavior. And man is precisely the animal most desperately dependent upon such extragenetic, outside the skin control mechanisms, such cultural programs for ordering his behaviors. So he explains na hindi lang about ng culture yung yung pagiging kailangan natin sa self-identification. So, meron din tayo dapat na plans, recipes, rules na dapat nating sinusundan para maayos yung ating behavior. So, may sinabi rin si Gertz, ina-emphasize niya na human nature is interdependent with culture. Without men, no culture. Certainly, but equally and more significantly, without culture, no men. Likewise, kay Robbins considered human beings as cultural animals as they create the meanings of objects, persons, behaviors, emotions, and events, and behave in accordance with meanings they assume to be true. So this culture, without men, no culture, certainly. Ibig sabihin nito, yung men, yung men yung natin, yung parang sa skeletal natin, yun yung magbigay skeletal siya. Siya yung nagbubuo ng body. So kapag wala yung men, wala ring culture. So vice versa lang, without culture, no men. So kapag wala rin tayong culture, wala na rin saysay ang pagiging human natin or pagiging person natin dito sa society. So let's wrap it up na sana may natutunan kayo this infomercial of our group. It's about an anthropological conceptualization of self, the self as embedded in culture. Thank you and God bless and good luck to all.